Hey, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another LOR video today. I wanted to talk about a subject that was kind of on my mind recently, which was why is Nora Do Nothing so ubiquitous? So we have Nora Do Nothing in Eternal, of course, very powerful with its cheap access to Flock and Disintegrates, Junk Construct. Again, very ping heavy, right? 3 Pytosses, 3 Flocks, 3 Concologists, 3 Disintegrates, 3 Drop the Bombs, 3 Junk Constructs, 3 Noras, 3 Pokies. Everything in this deck is essentially cycling. Your ping cycles, your body cycles, your body cycles, your body cycles, your ping cycles, your counter spell cycles. Of course, Portal Palooza cycles and creates a body. So again, you have boat that cycles into swain. So every single thing in this deck is essentially a non-committal play, which is so powerful, right? You can play Junk Construct on 2. You can bank spell mana for Portapalooza, and you don't actually have to play anything else at that point. You can just Portapalooza into Portapalooza, mount board pressure without actually committing anything to the board of value. And the opponent has to respond with something. Well, the minute they respond with something, you snap Pytos Disintegrate, right? So they're trying to play something into your non-commitment because they have to, because they're playing an actual deck, and you're playing essentially a non-committal deck that snap removes everything it sees. So it puts you on that 50-50 of, I'm not going to commit, but I'm going to keep generating free board value without committing any actual, card presence from my hand. And then you have to answer with something from your hand, which puts you at a disadvantage right away. But then the real disadvantage comes in where as soon as you do that, I snap remove it. So, of course, Nora Do Nothing, aka Nora Swain in Eternal, is one of the best Eternal decks. And that won't change because you're putting that people on that, very awkward, basically play style of like, okay, I don't really want to commit into a Junk Construct. I don't really want to commit into a Portal Palooza, but I have to, and then I know it's going to instantly die. And that's why it's a very good deck. Now, we also see Nora being ubiquitous in Standard, with Nora Elder Dragon, essentially a toned down version and less effective version of that deck in the Standard rotation that is also doing exceptionally well. We can look at that list as well. And this one I've gone over before. And again, 3 Pytosses. It has to use some suboptimal cards like Group Shot. It doesn't have access to Junk Construct because that's rotated out. So, it has to go for more of a late game with some value 6 drops and Plaza Guardian and all this. That's how Standard functions. There's a lot of suboptimal cards in here that have to be there because it's Standard. But either way, the core 50-50 of Portapalooza into Portapalooza into Portapalooza, then as soon as you commit, I start doing stuff, my stuff. Like, that concept still persists. That's how the deck functions. And in fact, because there's no Junk Construct, it'll run Sign-In. So Sign-In will double draw and double draw and double draw. Or Wiggly, instead of junk Construct, because it's, again, cycling into a spell, cycling into a spell, cycling into a spell. So everything in this deck is similar to the one in Eternal, is designed to be as non-committal as possible while draining resources from your opponent with Lord Broadmane and the Pytosses. So again, putting you on that 50-50 situation of like, okay, I'm not committing, play something, and then you play something, and then it instantly dies. And so that's the Standard version, and then I showed you the Eternal version as well. I have talked before about how in a lot of decks you need to commit, and committing is the key to winning. Azir Aurelia is a great example, where like if you're going to play Azir Aurelia, which is a very competitive deck, you need to commit to that strategy to make that deck function. And I think the harder that you commit, the better you're going to be. You'll be off overall. But when it comes to Nora Do Nothing, it is the best deck at kind of embodying that competitive strategy of I won't commit, I won't commit, I won't commit. As soon as you commit something, now it's gone. I don't think every deck needs to be that, but until, unless Portapalooza gets nerfed to like 6 mana or something, this style of deck build that is now prevalent in both Standard and Eternal, and are the top decks in both Standard and Eternal, You know, unless Palooza maybe goes up to 6 mana. I know that seems like really bad, but like something in here has to change, and I think it is the Palooza. It is the 2 portals in the top 4 cards draw 1, and this just needs to be upped by 1 mana. And if that happens, it'll be much harder for these do-nothing decks to do nothing, because now it's 1 more mana that they have to commit to that strategy. But yeah, that's just a rundown of Nora do nothing in both Standard and Eternal. I haven't changed my opinion about what the best ramp shell is going to be. It's still going to be Elder Dragon ramp, and the list that I provide is still amazing. And again, but Nora is always going to exist. And you know, the more cycling tools that get released in the game, the better Nora will be. That's just a fact. That's just how the game works. Unless they nerf Palooza to 6 mana, and then it costs them a little more mana to potentially cycle and create bodies for free without committing. So yeah, that's Eternal King signing out. But in case you were wondering why Nora Do Nothing is both the best deck in Standard and Eternal, that's why. Because it's basically board presence without commitment, and it's the only deck in the game that can do that. That can cycle into infinite board presence over and over again for free, and then insta-punish any deck that tries to, say, play a champion or commit to a strategy. And it does it better than any other deck. Should that be the embodiment of competitive LOR? I don't think so. Not personally. But again, it's not the only good deck, right? Ziggs Poppy is 58%, and this is a very high commitment deck. Again, this is a deck that you need to commit to your plays to win. So again, it's up to you. Yeah, I've had this discussion a lot. I'm interested in what my viewers have to say. Should Nora Do Nothing be both one of the most competitive decks in Standard and Eternal at the same time? Or does, you know, Palooza need a mana increase? That's it from Eternal King today. Signing out.